We've got it right here. Chris Godwin agreeing to a 3-year contract, 2 fully guaranteed. Godwin back with the Buccaneers. Buccaneers sign Haason Reddick on a 1-year deal, $14 million, $12 million guaranteed. So you want a pass rusher? Jason Light will take care of you. You want Chris Godwin back? Jason Light's got you. You want Levante David back? We'll make that happen too. How about Ben Bredeson? Boom, lock it in. Sarah Walsh from the NFL Network, the first one on it. The Buccaneers not only bring back all 3 of their most important free agents, they go out and get the pass rusher that we've been waiting for. Give me one guy. Give me one freaking guy that's going to be able to go out there and make the opposing quarterback's life a living hell. And we understand the whole thing with Haason, with the free agency and not and getting traded, everything that's gone on in his past. But this is a guy, when he is on the field, Haason Reddick is an absolute monster. We watched him all the way back at Temple when he was making USF's life a living hell. And then we watched him in the NFL just continuously ball out year after year after year. He's got familiarity with Todd Bowles from Arizona. And you look at these statistics. This guy is a 10-sack machine. I'm not looking at what happened last year. That was just kind of a funky year. He was with the Jets, an absolute dumpster fire. But you look at the last year in Arizona, the 1-year prove-it deal in Carolina, and then 2 years with Philadelphia. Not only is this guy good, but he's available. He's on the field. Last year in Arizona in 2020, 12.5 sacks. That 1 year in Carolina, 11 sacks. The first year in Philadelphia in 2022, 16 sacks. And that year in 2023 for Philadelphia, 11 sacks. This is a guy that has 59 sacks in his career. He will be a welcome addition for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And then you could start building on that defensive side of the ball. Do you make more forays into free agency? Maybe. But now this kind of helps you possibly. Let's say you draft another guy at the defensive end or the edge position in the draft. Think about what your pass rush is going to look like then. Haason Reddick, your first-round pick, Yaya Diaby, Chris Braswell. You feel a lot better about the pass rush today than you did yesterday. Huge move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And all, so that's Haason Reddick. But you're bringing back a guy like Chris Godwin. What a fantastic move to be able to bring in or keep a guy that, like, this is where he needs to be. This is where Chris Godwin's career needs to start and to end. Very rarely do you have a guy that you look at when you're talking about a Mike Evans and you go, all right, you're going bell to bell. In the world that we live in with free agency, in the world that we live in with trades and miscommunication and disloyalty between players and franchises, what do you get here? They say lightning doesn't strike twice. Isn't that crazy? They say lightning doesn't strike twice, but how ironic is it that it has happened right here in the Tampa Bay area? Oh, you want to have one wide receiver that is going to play his entire career for one team? Well, the Buccaneers, it looks like they're going to have 2. It wouldn't be right if Chris Godwin was playing in another uniform next year. Just like it wouldn't be right if Mike Evans is playing in another uniform next year. And how about a guy like Levante David? If he's going to play in the NFL in the 2025 season, it's going to be with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, overjoyed that this is the start of free agency for the Bucs. This is exactly what they needed to do. Take care of your own. Fortify that offensive line with Ben Bredeson. You got your starting 5 guys back for the 2025 season. Your emotional leader in Levante David, one of the greatest players in the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, back smack dab in the middle of that defense. Hopefully mentoring and working with the next crop of the inside linebackers that are going to take this team into the next generation. Looking at the pass rush, what can the Buccaneers do? What can they do to help get more pressure on the quarterback with 4, just like Todd Bowles likes? You bring in Haason Reddick. That's going to make Yaya Diaby's life a whole hell of a lot easier. It's going to make a guy like Chris Braswell feel like his development doesn't need to be rushed. Such a smart move. And again, the experience is there with Todd Bowles. And then you bring back Chris Godwin. This offense is not going to miss a beat in the 2025 season. You bring Chris back, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again here with you guys today. If Chris went somewhere else, they were going to expect him to be wide receiver 1 right off the jump. Oh, you had an injury? Sorry, man. We paid you all this money. You need to be our leading guy right now. You need to have 100 catches, over 1,000 yards, and at least 7 or 8 touchdowns, or you're a bust. You're a failure. You don't need to do that here. Chris, take your time. Take your time getting back. We got Mike. We got Jalen McMillan. You never know. They might draft another guy or two. Take your time, Chris, because you being healthy down the stretch as this Buccaneers team tries to make another long postseason run is way more important than you being 100% in week 1. That comfort level, that familiarity, man, the culture and the environment with the Buccaneers right now is as good as it's ever been in franchise history. So kudos to Jason Light. Kudos to Mike Greenberg. Kudos to Todd Bowles and everybody involved with the Buccaneers organization. This is a fantastic day if you're a Bucs fan. Love it. I freaking love this. God, this is so awesome. Russell wants to know, didn't Reddick sit out last year? Is he an issue for the locker room? I would say no, Russ. I would say no. And here's the reason why. He went to the Jets, and there was a lot of miscommunication there. He wanted a long-term deal. It didn't work out. He thought going one way. He was like, all right, well, Philadelphia doesn't want to give me a long-term deal. The Jets traded for him, thinking, oh, yeah, if we get him here, we'll give him a – kind of like what happened with Miko Ronson in hockey. Oh, if we get him here, we'll be able to sign him to a long-term deal. And the Jets were like, it didn't work out. And then Haasan's like, what the hell? I'm not going to sign here. So he's going on a 1-year prove-it deal. Like we've seen it already. We've already seen Haason Reddick on a 1-year prove-it deal. That 1 year in Carolina. After not getting that deal with Arizona, because it's tough. Look, you look at the first 3 years. He's a little bit of a late bloomer. The first 3 years with Arizona, he played every single game. But he had 2.5 sacks, 4 and 1. And he played more towards the middle inside linebacker than outside. Kicking to the outside, and look at what he was able to do on that last year, 12.5 sacks. Arizona was like, I don't know what we should do. Is this the right move? He goes to Carolina on that 1-year prove-it deal. He plays in all 16 games, 68 total tackles and 11 sacks. Philadelphia rewards him with a deal. Look at that. 16 sacks, 11 sacks, and the 2 years with Philly, 27 sacks. This is a guy, if he's healthy, I don't think that he's going to be any type of distraction. I don't think it's going to be negative at all. He knows coming. Here's two reasons why, and then I'm going to answer this again. Oh, it's right there, Russ. 2 reasons why this won't be an issue for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 1, Haason's not coming here. He is not coming here if he doesn't know what that culture is like. He's not coming here, coming to a place like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if he doesn't know that there's veterans around and this team is ready to win right now. And this is a place where he's going to get opportunity and he's going to try to reestablish that market value, even though he's on the wrong side of 30. Here's the other thing. This is where you have to trust, and this is where you give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization the benefit of the doubt. There's no way that Jason Light and Todd Bowles bring Haason Reddick in here if he's a bad apple. If they think Haason Reddick is going to upset the entire apple cart, they don't bring him in here. Remember, there were people out there. You're not going to hear from them right now because of how it worked out. But there were people in here that were worried about a guy like Ndamukong Suh. What happened? He came, fortified the middle of that defensive line, and boom, helped this team win a Super Bowl. There were people in here that were worried about Antonio Brown, and we know how it ended. And that's obviously the drastic end of the spectrum going all the way down to the other side, right? But the Buccaneers, whether it was Bruce Arians or any of the guys involved, they were able to keep it together for that 1 year to win a Super Bowl. Do we think it's going to melt down with Haason Reddick like we saw with Antonio Brown? I don't think anybody thinks that is going to happen. But I have so much confidence, especially why, Russ, a guy like Levante David coming back too. It's just another thing. It's another aspect of growing this team, growing this defense, to know that he is here. Haason Reddick ain't stepping out of line. He understands what it's going to entail coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is no joke. This is no messing around. There's been so many times in Buccaneer history we look at it and you kind of look at things sideways and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out. And man, why can't the Bucs operate like Team X, Team Y, Team Z? Well, on a day like today, March 10th, 2025, when free agency has been around for like not even 30 minutes, the Buccaneers are one of the teams that people around the league are looking at and going, I wish we were like the Buccaneers. Think about that. There are players and there's teams around the league that want to emulate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we got to shout out our guy, TJ Reeves, who said this on the show 2 weeks ago. If Levante David and Chris Godwin are playing this year, it will be in Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniforms. Well said, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. 100%. And we'll talk to our guy, Ian Beckles, here in a bit, because from the time listening to Ian on DAE or here on the podcast or on his In the Trenches podcast, it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this where you looked at the Buccaneers organization and you felt like they were one of the model franchises in the sport for a long freaking time. But we are in a new era of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are in an era right now, probably the most positive when it comes to the culture and the foundation of this entire team. And that is why, another reason why, when everybody wanted to get rid of Todd Bowles and bring in Liam Cohen, Todd Bowles has his fingerprints on stuff like this. Right here. He is a factor. He is a factor why Haason Reddick. The same reason why guys like Jason Light and Bruce Arians were a factor when it comes to Tom Brady coming here. Well, a guy like Haason Reddick comes here because a guy like Todd Bowles is a factor. Them working together with the Cardinals.